Vaman Srinivas Kudva. Vaman Srinivas Kudva Kannada, Vaman Srinivas Kudva, 9 June 1899 30 June 1967, popularly called V.S. Kudva, was a founding director of Syndicate Bank, one of the oldest and major commercial banks of India. Early life and education. In 1899, Kudva was born in a conservative and traditional Gaud Saraswat Brahmin GSB family. The family was known as the Mulki Kudvas at Mulki, Karnataka. His father Srinivas Ramachandra Kudva owned a small handloom unit and used to cycle to work when cars were unknown in Mulki. Brought up in simple surroundings, Kudva had his primary school education at Mulki and high school education at Udupi. He took active part in school debates and was a good writer both in English and Kannada. His father shifted to Udupi in 1908 and started a hardware shop. In 1918, he passed the intermediate exam from the Government College, Mangalore, and went to Bombay and joined the mechanical engineering course at the Victoria Jubilee Technical Institute, Bombay VJTI. After 3 years as a top-ranking student, he gave up his studies in response to Mahatma Gandhi's non-cooperation movement and returned to Udupi. He worked as a volunteer teacher in a national school started by the Congress Party under Gandhiji's call to replace English-aided schools. Joins the CPC Company Limited. From 1922 to 1926, he started an engineering workshop, Limited CPC Co. Limited, and joined it as its works manager. In 1928, he married Kamath's daughter. In 1932, he became its general manager on the death of Kamath. In 1938, he was elected managing director of the company and continued in that position till 1966. During his regime, the CPC Co. Limited progressed and prospered and earned a great name in the country. Starts new industries. Kudva had realized that to provide employment and in keeping with the enterprising spirit of the people, more and more industries must be set up. He put his conviction into practice by founding the Kannada Sales Corporation Limited in 1938 and the Kannada Motor and General Insurance Company Limited in 1941. He founded the Kannada Workshops Limited in 1943 and started manufacture of automobile leaf springs under the brand name Kannada Springs in 1950. Considering the increased demand in northern India, he opened another factory in Nagpur. The Nagpur unit was closed in the late 60s due to various problems faced by the company. The raw material for the leaf springs, spring steel flats, used to be imported into the country. In the late 60s, Kudva felt the need for starting a mini steel plant to manufacture the required spring steel within the country. With this in mind, a mini steel plant consisting of a 5-ton electric arc furnace, a vertical continuous casting machine to cast steel billets, and a rolling mill was conceptualized. This steel plant was commissioned in Mangalore in 1963, and production of steel started a year later after initial production-related problems were sorted out. The continuous casting machine, when commissioned, was the very first in India. In 1947, he started the Kannada Tire and Rubber Works Limited. He also started and managed several other transport concerns. Bonus, gratuity, pension benefits were given to employees in his companies even before it became mandatory by law. Interests in journalism. Kudva was interested in journalism during his student days. In 1922, he edited the Kannada weekly Satyagrahi. From 1923 to 1934, he worked as editor of Kannada weekly Swadeshabhimani. He was a member of State Journalists Advisory Committee. In 1941, he started the newspaper Publishers Pvt Limited, which then published the Kannada daily newspaper Navabharath. As its editor, he earned the respect of Kannada journalists and also organized the Akhila Karnataka Journalist Conference in Mangalore. Social leader. With TMA Pi and Apendra Ananth Pi of Manipal, Kudva was one of the founder directors of the Syndicate Bank, then called the Kannada Industrial and Banking Syndicate Limited. In 1948, he was elected president of Kannada Chamber of Commerce and Industries, South Kannada, and continued as president for the next 3 years. Along with U. Srinivas Malya, he was instrumental in bringing the all-weather port and also the airport to Mangalore. When he worked for the economic welfare of the district, he also contributed immensely in its educational progress. He started the Kannada Foreign Student Loan Scholarship in 1955, now known as the Kannada Foundation for giving loan scholarship for students going abroad for higher technical education. Once again, along with U. Srinivas Malya, he was also responsible for bringing the Karnataka Regional Engineering College, now called National Institute of Technology, Karnataka NIC at Saraikal, and he was on its governing body for several years. Rotary Club, Furry Club, Turi Club. He was responsible for starting the first Rotary Club in Mangalore, of which he was the charter president. He was president of the SK Development and Welfare Board. He traveled widely in India and abroad. This was during the days when traveling out of India was arduous and rare. He had been to the Middle East, Europe, and the United States in 1951. In 1960 and in 1963, he traveled once again to Europe, the United States, and Japan. Legacy: Kudva died in 1967 and is fondly known as a Karmayogi to those people of Mangalore and Dakshina Kannada who still remember him. Book: two books titled V.S. Kudva His Life and Times 2014 in English, and V.S. Kudva Jeevanasadhane 2014 in Kannada, authored by M. Vasant Malya, was published by the Kannada Foundation, Mangalore. On 27 November 2014 in Mangalore, N. Vinay Hegde, Chancellor of NIT University, released the English edition, and K.T. Rai, General Manager of Syndicate Bank, released the Kannada edition. References